You're listening to the Agentic Engineer podcast, weekly AI agent intelligence for builders. I'm your host Andrew, and with me as always is my co-host Ava. Let's get into it.
Big week. OpenAI dropped GPT-5.6 Sol, but the story isn't the model. It's the fact that the US government got it before developers did.
Yeah, this is the first government-gated model released. 3 models in the family. Sol is the flagship, Terra is 2x cheaper than GPT-5.5 with competitive performance, and Luna is the lowest cost option. Sol has this new Ultra mode that spawns subagents to handle complex work.
New state-of-the-art on Terminal Bench 2.1 for command line workflows. But honestly, who cares about benchmarks right now? The release mechanism is what everyone should be paying attention to.
Right. OpenAI gave the government advance access. Their exact words, a limited preview for a small group of trusted partners whose participation has been shared with the government. Developers, enterprises, cyber defenders, explicitly listed as people who need these tools but don't have them yet.
That's wild. They're saying you need these tools but you can't have them until the government signs off. How is that not going to slow down the entire ecosystem?
OpenAI frames it as temporary. They say this should not become the long-term default. They're calling it the strongest path to broader availability in the coming weeks. They're coordinating with the administration on a cyber executive order framework.
Coming weeks. Sure. What drove the gating is the cyber capabilities. Sol is competitive with Mythos Preview on Exploit Bench using about a third of the output tokens. It found bugs and exploitation primitives in Chromium and Firefox. Didn't produce full chain exploits autonomously, but still.
They built this layered safeguard stack. Model-level refusal, real-time cyber classifiers that can pause generation midstream while a larger reasoning model reviews the conversation, account-level signals that aggregate behavior across sessions to distinguish researchers from attackers.
That's actually the most detailed safety architecture any lab has published. I'll give them credit for that. But here's the pattern. Anthropic recalled Fable 5 and Mythos 5 under export control. Now OpenAI is voluntarily gating Sol before a regulator forced it. Third model family in 6 months.
The uncomfortable truth is every capability that helps defenders also helps attackers. The labs are choosing different strategies. Anthropic locks models to governments entirely. OpenAI gives governments a head start. Neither makes developers happy.
Release everything immediately isn't on the table anymore for models at this capability level. That's just the reality now. For builders, Terra and Luna will be available soon. Sol's Ultra Subagent mode is genuinely new. But you'll need a permission slip for the frontier stuff.
Quick hits. First up, GLM 5.2 just beat Claude Opus 4.8 on Semgrep vulnerability detection benchmark. 39% F1 versus Claude's 32%, at roughly 17 cents per vulnerability found.
750 billion total parameters, 40 billion active per token. It's a mixture of experts model. But the deeper insight is that Semgrep's purpose-built harness still hits 53 to 61% F1. Harness matters more than the model. OpenAI just crossed the good enough for security threshold.
At 1/6 the cost of Claude. That's significant. The poll last week was about open models, and this is the answer showing up.
Next, Google open sourced DESIGN.md. It's a structured format for describing design systems to coding agents. YAML tokens for colors, typography, spacing, plus Markdown prose for design rationale. CLLints for CAG contrast, diffs token changes between versions, exports to Tailwind and CSS.
23,000 stars already, up nearly 7,000 this week. Solves the agent generates random-looking UI problem by giving it persistent design context. I actually love this because every time I use a coding agent for front-end work, the output looks like a different app each time.
Exactly. It's the missing context file. OpenAI also expanded Daybreak. Codex security scanned 30 million commits across 30,000 codebases. GPT-5.5 Cyber hits 85.6% on CyberGym. Patch the Planet enrolls 30-plus open-source projects for AI-assisted vulnerability patching.
Curl, Go, Python. The narrative shift is from AI finds bugs to AI patch them at scale. That's a real capability jump.
Then there's Herdr. It's tmux for people running multiple coding agents. Workspaces, tabs, panes with agent state indicators showing blocked, working, or done. Detach and agents keep running. 4,187 stars, up 2,449 this week.
Made the HN front page. This scratches a real itch. If you're running 3 to 5 concurrent agents, you lose track of which one is stuck. Classic problem.
An agent native from builder.io. The quick creators. Define one action and expose it via UI, agent, API, MCP, A2A, and CLI. Your app is just an action graph that both humans and agents traverse. Nearly 3,000 stars, up 1,540 this week.
Paper breakdown. This week's papers govern the repository, not the agent. Published June 26 on Archive.
Core insight, integration friction, the cost of merging a contribution into a codebase others are concurrently changing, is a property of the repository, not the individual agent. You can't fix repo-level risk by improving individual agents.
The data is massive. 930,000 plus agent-authored pull requests across shared repositories. After controlling for codebase size, age, task shape, process maturity, and merge path, roughly half the variation in integration friction stays with the repository.
Here's the key finding. Agent-authored contributions concentrate repository-level friction 2x more than human ones. Intraclass correlation 0.30 for agents versus 0.16 for humans. Agents that each pass their own tests still leave repositories that accumulate problems no single contribution accounts for.
This is why SWE bench is misleading. It tests one agent on one task. Real-world failure happens when 5 agents submit concurrent PRs that each pass individually but create merge conflicts, duplicate abstractions, or divergent architectural decisions.
The practical implication is you need repo-level governance tools. Contribution budgets per module, conflict-aware scheduling, architectural consistency checks that run across PRs, not within them. The code owner's file is not enough.
The paper doesn't propose specific mechanisms. It proves the problem exists and quantifies it. The tooling gap is wide open. Time saved, 6-minute read versus a 45-minute paper. 7.5x compression.
Tool of the week, AWS Lambda MicroVMs. Serverless sandboxes for AI agents.
This one is big. It gives each user or agent session its own isolated execution environment, VM-level isolation, near-instant launch and resume, and state preservation. One API call to get a fully bootstrapped compute environment. Powered by Firecracker, the same tech run 15+ trillion monthly Lambda invocations.
The problem it solves, every coding agent platform has been hacking around sandbox isolation. VMs take minutes to start. Containers need custom hardening for untrusted code. Lambda functions don't support long-running interactive sessions. MicroVMs sit right in that gap.
How it works: package your app plus Docker file into a zip, upload to S3, create a micro VM image. Lambda builds the container, initializes the app, and takes a Firecracker snapshot of running memory plus disk. Launching a micro VM resumes from that snapshot.
Auto suspends after idle timeout, auto resumes on next request with state intact. Each micro VM gets a dedicated HTTPS endpoint. Auth via short-lived token. No networking setup required. Already GA with published pricing. Per instance second billing, so you only pay while sessions are active.
Direct alternative to E2B, Fly Machine, and Modal's sandbox offering. The advantage: Lambda's operational maturity and existing AWS integration. If you're building a coding assistant, vulnerability scanner, or anything running untrusted code, this is the isolation layer you've been building from scratch.
I love that it's just GA. No waitlist. No preview. Just use it. That's how infrastructure should launch.
Agent Index. Framework Star Tracker for the week of July 1, 2026. OpenClaw holds the throne at 380,934 stars, up 1,039 this week. Growth cooled slightly from last week's 1,108.
N8N stays strong in second at 194,451, up 870. Defy at 146,949, up 819. LangChain had its best week in a month at plus 610, probably boosted by the GPT-5.6 hype cycle bringing new agent builders.
LangGraph continues its quiet climb at 36,004, up 589. Now pulling ahead of Semantic Kernel, which had its slowest week on record at plus 39.
Crew AI up 420, Masra up 235, MS Agent Framework steady at plus 202. The enterprise players are cruising while the developer-focused frameworks see more volatility.
Hot take. Tokenmaxxing was always real. The mandates just made it embarrassing.
Meta tied performance reviews to token spend. People literally ran two agents talking to each other to inflate metrics. I cannot believe that actually happened.
Now the mandates are rolling back because everyone adopted AI tools organically and costs spiked. The Anthropic Economic Index confirms it from the other direction. People who delegate the most to Claude feel the best about AI's impact on their jobs.
The lesson isn't that mandates are dumb. It's that adoption curves have a forced adoption phase where the metrics look fake, followed by an organic adoption phase where the value is real.
Meta's mistake was measuring the wrong thing. Tokens spent instead of outcomes shipped. Every enterprise AI rollout will hit this inflection. The ones that survive will switch from prove you're using it to prove it helped before the cynicism sets in.
That's the real metric. Not how much AI you consumed, but what shipped because of it. If your team is gaming token counts, you already lost.
That's a wrap for issue 19 of the Agentic Engineer podcast. Subscribe to the newsletter at theagentisengineer.waltsoft.net and follow us on YouTube at the Agentic Engineer Pod. Share it with a friend who's building with agents. We'll be back next week. Until then, keep building.